Hi, everybody. Thank you for stopping by Living to Do. Today, we're going to review the season finale of Bel-Air. So, it's episode 10 called Where To. Before I get started with the review, please like, share this video, comment on this video, and subscribe to the channel. Also, you can find me on Fanbase, the new monetized app that is out. You can find me on Fanbase under the same name, Living to Do. So let's get started. First, I just cannot go without saying um, or commenting on what transpired this week, the unfortunate events that took place at the Oscars, where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. It was very disappointing. I was very shocked to see that. This man has had extreme highs in his life and extreme lows. I'm sure he wished he could reboot his life. Um, Disappointed, uh, but just another part of life. Just hate to see it. That's all. So let's get started with the review. This review this episode started with Viv's her gallery. She had an art show, and she was displaying her artwork. One of the key pieces of the art show was a painting she did of Will. Real nice painting with Will with that famous crown on his head. It was real abstract. Um, she did a very good job. The painting was real nice. Uncle Phil spotted Will looking at the painting, and he came over to him, and he said he liked the painting. What he liked about Will is that his ability to adapt and shine. He had no regrets helping Will with his legal situation and bringing him into his home. Um, and Will also apologized for any trouble he may have caused. And looking at the picture, Will should just see somebody saw this a king or a prince in him, and I thought it was a very touching piece. It was a very moving moment to have him look at it, and his aunt. That's what his aunt thought of him. It must have made him feel real good at that moment. Well, later he's leaving his house, and when he leaves his house, somebody drives into the driveway, that big mansion, when the gates open. That's really scary. You should have tighter security than that. And who is pulling up at the mansion is Lou. It's Will's dad. And Lou's dad is played by Marlon Wayans. I didn't see that coming at all. Good choice. He did a good job in this episode. When he knocks on the door, Uncle Phil opens up the door and he lets Lou in, and they're talking. So we find out that Lou has been out of prison for 3 years. And he heard that his son reached out to him. Uncle Phil was against it, and he's trying to convey to Uncle Phil that he's not the same man that he once was. He wants to see Will. Will's at basketball practice. He just missed him. Later, after Lou leaves, Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil are talking, and they want to know why he showed up. We've learned that Uncle Phil was his lawyer. So they were kind of discussing between the two of them if they should allow Lou to see Will. Will is in their care, and it's up to them whether he sees them or not. Meanwhile, Carlton saw that Lou was at the house. And so he is sneaking around his dad's office for a folder that Jeffrey had. Will told Carlton that there was this folder with information about his dad, but he didn't want to see it. So Carlton is in his dad's office snooping for it, and he finds it. And he tells Will, he goes to Will's room and he tells him, "Your dad was here." And he hands Will the envelope to read. Will's not sure he wants to read it, but he reads it. And he goes downstairs where Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil were speaking, and he tells them that he wants to meet his father. Aunt Viv says, your father Lou is not trustworthy. They inform him that he robbed an old man who owed Lou money, and Lou beat him half to death, and this is why he went to prison. And Will is upset because, or he tries to argue in his dad's favor that no one gave him a second chance. He got arrested and his mom cut him off. They're telling him that he's volatile, he's unpredictable, and they just don't want him to get hurt. All this time, they have told us about, it seemed like a big old secret about Will. I mean, things happen in people's lives. This man beat another man and went to prison. What is the big secret? Okay, I think he could handle that. Especially growing up where he grew up. That happens to a lot of people. But they made this the biggest deal in this movie that the man was in prison. I mean, maybe you don't tell the kid, when he's real little, but as a high schooler, I think he's old enough to know that. Will calls his mom, and she lets her know that the dad was there. And he asks, "Why didn't you tell me he was in prison?" And, the mom thinks that's was best for Will, not to know things like that. Now, something happened here. She was talking about, he was 20 and then he's been away for 13 years. So that would mean he's 33? Will's mom and dad are about 33 years old? I don't think so. That something's not right. Maybe it's 23. That makes more sense than to be 43 years old. Because I think Aunt Viv is a younger sister, and she has all these kids. And, she got one kid in her 20s, so they must be in there about 43 years old, maybe. Will goes back to the Banks' family, and he tells them that he does want to speak to his father. So Lou does come back over, and Aunt Viv is the one who greets him, and she tells him, "You better act like the father of the year." So Will comes in the room with Uncle Phil, and he sees his father for the first time in 13 years, and he says, Lou says, "What's up, Will?" And he just stands there. It was like, I guess he has to fill the room out. It seems like you would hug your son. I don't know. I guess not. They get to talking, just the two of them. And he explains to Will that he didn't want him to see him in jail because he's in a cage. He didn't want that vision for his son to see him like that. He thought it was best that he didn't see him like that because his father was in prison, and he went to see him in prison. Seeing his father through the glass wall there, or the window, really messed him up, and he just didn't want that for Will. That makes sense. They get to talking some more, and Will's starting to remember things. He goes, "Did you once take me to a basketball game?" His dad did take him to the 76ers game. They even had floor seats. And he wanted to know what happened in the family. He wants to hear it from his dad. Lou explains that Phil was getting rich. And I guess uh, Will's mother, Lou's girlfriend at the time, baby mama, she was pushing him to do better. And this is how he got caught up in stuff, I guess, trying to provide or give his family a similar life that her sister was being given by Uncle Phil. So he was being pushed. I don't know exactly what was going on, what if he was into drugs or what was going on, but he was pushed, and he did what he did. And I guess now thinking on it, he's talking to Will and he goes, "Your mom was a mistake." Oh no. Will does not like that. Do not speak bad about his mother. And when he did that, Will got up in his face. Uncle Phil came in and broke up the fight. And he said something about son. He called him son. He goes, "Don't call me son. You get out." In fact, he said, "Find a ditch and lay in it." Oh my God. He got heated real quick. You can't talk about his mother. You can't talk about his wife. So Will gets upset. He goes to his room and he starts packing like he's leaving. Gets his stuff and he's packing it up. And Carlton comes in and he says that, he's mad. He mentions that they're not much of a family. And when he's leaving, he leaves and he tells this to Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil. He says, "One visit in 10 years. He's, I can't trust you. You lied." They all lied to him. His mother lied to him. Uncle Phil lied to him. Aunt Viv lied to him. He wasn't abandoned. His dad did want him. They knew where his dad was and they never told him. It's all coming to a head and he's very upset. And he leaves. They don't know where he is. They can't get the tracker on his car. Aunt Viv finally calls Vi, her sister, and she tells him the meeting did not go well between Lou and Will. And she says that she should have first they're trying to find Will. She promises that they will find him. Vi is crying. I think she wished that she told Will what was really going down with his father. Carlton is so upset. He goes to Lisa's house. Now, Lisa and Will had a date planned earlier in the episode, but Will came into town and he never did reach back out to Lisa, so she thought she was stood up. Carlton goes over to Lisa's house and informs her that Will is missing. She's not really she's kind of mad. She's like, they had a blow up. She's mad. And she said, and Carlton lets her know that Will's dad was in town and upset Will, and he's left. Of course, now she's more concerned. And Carlton, the downfall that he's having over this, I know this man or this kid, this teenager has anxiety issues and he is upset. He is crying and Lisa's consoling him that Will's gone. All that hate they had for each other, before, he is really affected by Will leaving. Well, I guess Jazzy gets involved and he finds Will. He finds him at the cliff that they were overlooking the city. On the first episode, Jazzy finds him because I don't know what Will thought he was going to do. Were you going to drive back to Philly? Were you going to catch a plane? You took the car that they gave you. What was going on there? Jazzy finds him. Will says they lied. He's disappointed in everybody. He always wondered why he didn't have a dad, and it's messing him up. And he just, I know he's a growing kid. He has a lot going on. He was possibly going to jail. His mother sent him across the country into a totally different lifestyle. His head is probably just swarming. He's in love with this first time with this girl. And Jazzy gives him a real heart-to-heart talk. And they were talking about happiness. And Jazzy told him the key to happiness is to bring your true self to, he says, the key to happiness is to be true to yourself no matter uh, who you are and where you are. Be yourself. So it ended like that. Jazzy came, he was the voice of reason. He told him it's up to him to make a choice. So I'm sure he's going to choose to stay in Bel-Air. But that was the end of the episode. It's just Will was, something happened. He became unreasonable. He made a hasty move, and this hasty move was to leave. It wasn't a well thought out plan. Um, it's just weird that this episode aired at this time where you see life imitating art or art imitating life this past week. So many of us are under pressure and we break. So we need to recognize that and possibly just extend grace to people. I think that's the lesson that I've learned this week. I really enjoyed this series. I'm glad it's coming back for a second season. That's all for now. Hopefully, we'll have more cheer in the next season number 2. Have a little bit of laughs um, after this difficult week. So that's it for now. Please like, share, and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel. And also find me on Fanbase, the new monetized app that is out. You can find me on Fanbase under the same name, Living to Do. Thank you for listening. Bye.